We're talking hunting stories, and would you use a PRS scope for hunting that it's highly electronic? So there's a lot of electronics going on here, all right now on Gun Talk Hunt.
Hey, I'm KJ, dedicated lifelong hunter here. If you got an interest in all things hunting, you're in the right spot. Whether chasing quail across the plains of Oklahoma or in pursuit of elk in the backcountry of British Columbia, you'll always find me on the hunt.
This episode is brought to you by Ruger and Range Ready. All right, welcome in all you Gun Talk hunters. I'm your host, KJ, and with me today is Mr. Jordan Egli out of, he's up there in Colorado with Burris. How you doing, dude?
Good. What's going on, KJ?
Not much, man. We got a chance to hang out at the NRA show and see what you're doing new and see what you guys got going on out there at Burris. But one thing that people don't know about you and I is there was at some point where you were the intern and I was the regular employee, but you were an intern at one moment. Now you're kind of like one of the head marketing guys over there at Burris. Dude, congratulations on the rise to I don't know, adulthood? Is that what you would call it?
Well, sure. I guess I should thank my mentors. Everybody back at the agency I used to work. Everybody but KJ. They were really influential in my life. Before Kevin was at Gun Talk, we had this secret plan of kind of taking over the world together, and then he had an offer he couldn't pass up, and I don't blame him one bit.
Couldn't pass it up. One of my favorite stories about Jordan, and he probably knows the story I'm going to tell. One of the stories, multiple out there, but so this is when Jordan was young, and if you know anything about Jordan, he is a go-getter and he gets things done. He's also not scared to take an adventure on something that he has no clue about. So one year, I decide I'm going to drive up to my uncle's place in Canada. And it is a 36-hour trip one way, 36 hours. And I'm going to drive it. And he says, I'll go with you. And I'm like, wait, are you serious? You're going to go with me? He goes, no, it'd be a great learning opportunity. I'm in. He's like, I just want to do it. And I'm like, okay. So we set off 36 hours one way.
Yeah, but in your mind, 36 hours one way is 36 hours nonstop one way.
That is true. He does have a point there. When I drive, man, I'm getting it, and I'm wide awake, and I'm like pumping myself full of energy drinks and anything I can to stay awake. We drove 24 hours straight. What was it, Saskatoon, right outside of Saskatoon?
Mm-hmm.
Stopped there. And we camped overnight, man. It was awesome. This little campground we found outside of Saskatoon. And we're sitting there and we're like, and I'm making him watch The Gray. That's the show. I'm like, okay, we got to watch this. Cause it's like, Arctic type weather and wolves and kind of has the Canadian feel to it. So I make him watch that.
Meanwhile, there's wolves howling outside the tent. We don't sleep at all. And we get back on the road and drive.
Yep.
What, 12 more hours?
12 more hours. I mean, that was a hard trip.
Still one of the best trips I've ever done. No regrets.
I have no regrets on it. We shot an elk together. We shot a couple of bears together. And I mean, just overall, that area where my uncle is at, and he has a place. And I kept telling Jordan, I'm like, man, it's the most beautiful thing you'll ever see. And we're sitting there driving across, where was it? Right around Saskatoon and Saskatchewan, and it's flat. There is nothing. And I'm sure Jordan was like, when are we going to get there?
Yeah, where are we going?
Yeah, but that was before Burris. That was before Gun Talk. We were just out there just trying to make the most of our trip and make the most of our opportunities that we had. And now we're more grown up. I mean, we both got kids and we've both got our time is very limited. So those 36, those 10, 11, 12 day trips are harder to come by.
Yeah, that's advice to everybody out there that's in an earlier stage in life. Man, if you got a chance to do a trip of a lifetime like that and you don't have the responsibilities responsibilities, I'll call it,
Yeah.
of life, do it. You
Yeah.
won't
And that's,
regret it. Hey, it turned into a career in the outdoor industry for me.
yeah. And I mean, it did spark something. And you just, I mean, driving there and back with Jordan and spending time in the field, like it was more of like what it could be, like what a life in the outdoor industry could be, because you do, like, you start, when you're in this industry, you start looking for those little opportunities to better yourself, to better your, chances at success and stuff like that. And I think that's what that trip was all about. It was just about, connecting on a deeper level and understanding what we could do.
For sure. I don't think either one of us would be in this industry or doing what we're doing if we didn't love it. Now,
No,
the
absolutely
truth
not.
is, from this side of the camera or the desk, or however you want to phrase it, we don't get out as much as we probably want to. This is our job, and the weekends are few and far between, just like everybody else. So, for all those people who think all we do is hunt and fish and camp all
And
day,
shoot.
no, it's not like that. That's what we dream about, just like everybody else.
That's funny you say that, because I was thinking about that the other day. And when I was on the agency side and I was on the PR marketing side of things, rather than the media side, man, I was on the fishing. I was primarily on the fishing clients that we had, and that was the best opportunity for me, because when fishing was slow, hunting was hot. And that was my opportunity to go out as much as I want. I think I calculated one year I spent in the field hunting, or tracking, or shed hunting or scouting or anything like that. I think one year I counted 167 days in the field, like in one year. And that for me was awesome.
The good old
That's a
days.
lot. That's a lot. And now
That's a lot.
I'm not in it quite as much as I used to, or as much as I'd love to, but I'm out quite a bit. I have to say, Ryan gives me a little bit more leeway than probably most people, I think, because he knows that the outdoors just call my name constantly. It's echoing
So does
in my
that mean
head.
is this your announcement for Hook Talk TV?
Yes. Yeah. Hook Talk. Welcome to Hook Talk. Yeah. I mean, I guess I could talk fishing just as well as I could hunting, I guess, but I don't know if our listeners would want to hear that. I mean, it's all hunting in the same. I mean, to me, fishing is hunting. It's just a little more wet.
I guess that's one way to look at it.
I mean, there's been some hunting trips for it that I thought were going to turn into fishing trips real quick because there was so much rain. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what Burris is up to right now, and what you guys are really have in the past couple of years. You guys have made a bigger push. You've had a lot of big launches. The new updated Eliminator came out, and you guys are really starting to update and towards the more tech savvy line of optics. Is that right?
Yeah, that's accurate. And gosh, I'm just going on 4 years working at Burris, and I think we've launched over, if you include binoculars, red dots, like every line of products, it's got to be over 60 products in 4 years, which
Phew.
that's a lot for anybody. But when you start putting technology into the scopes, technology into the products, it just it amplifies the intensity quite a bit. But
Yeah.
for us, it's a huge priority. We see a very strong benefit in what we've been doing. The Eliminator rifle scope, a lot of people know that. We launched it 13, 14 years ago.
Yep.
Originally, it just had a laser rangefinder in it. And then, like every other cool innovation, we asked, well, what if? So Burris was the first company to introduce a ballistic drop compensating reticle way back in the day. And so we paired the LRF with a BDC reticle, and it started to make sense. And then the what if was, what if we had a red dot that shows you where to hold? What if we
Yeah.
program it to your, caliber cartridge specific load or rifle? And then what if we keep raising the bar on that concept? And, this last year we launched the Eliminator 6, and I think it's the perfect culmination of all that hard work and research in that field,
Well, it's
bringing a rifle scope to the market.
and two, it's a culmination of asking the question, "What if?" I mean,
Right.
that's really where it all dwindles down to, and it is. I'm telling you what, my uncle, who you've met and hunted out on his property and all that good stuff, he had, man, I've been hearing about the Eliminator since I was a young kid. I mean, because that was his thing. He thought, man, I can shoot as far as I want as long as I can get a good read on it. Man, he was slinging lead all over the country.
Well, it definitely enhances your ability as a hunter, but we have a very strong motivating factor at Burris as to why we build these products. And some people might think it's to shoot further, and that's
Yeah,
really not it. At the core, we believe that Kentucky windage isn't good enough out west, and we don't want to be wounding animals. We don't want to see an elk hit and then never recovered, or a mule deer hit and never recovered. Or if it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, we don't want to see you miss it because of not understanding your equipment, your gear,
yeah.
the fundamentals of shooting. And so everything
Well,
that motivates the development of those products is to help with those shooting fundamentals.
yeah. Then and look at it this way. So you spend for like guys like us, like the working guys, like you sit here and you spend. If you spend a lot of money, you save up your pennies and your nickels and your dimes, and you buy this expensive hunt. A lot of these hunts say, man, if you hit it and there's blood drawn and we know you hit it and you can't find it, sorry. Sorry.
Yep.
Like it's just not going to work out. Like you're not going to um that's your that's your tag. You just blew it.
And
Um
even if it's not a guided hunt, I'll spend a couple $1,000s a year. I live in Colorado. I'm 2 hours from where I hunt elk.
yeah.
I will spend thousands of dollars in gas, time off. If I'm
Yeah.
staying in a hotel. If I'm staying in a tent, I still gotta pay for groceries and things. And I might only get, a couple opportunities at shooting that target animal. So
Yeah. Yeah,
we just
it means more.
it means more. And so, for those of you that don't know what the Eliminator rifle scope is, it's a rifle scope with a built-in rangefinder. And when you range your target, it gives you a red holdover point to where your bullet's going to impact. It also tells you your bullet velocity, your foot-pounds of energy, and it's programmable to your specific load. And
Will it alert you when like if you're beyond the energy needed to ethically kill an animal, does it kind of alert you to anything, or am I asking a what if question?
No, it does. There's what we call our shot call marker. If you program your load to have, minimum terminal ballistic threshold of, let's say, 900 foot-pounds of energy, if the target you're ranging is past that threshold, a red X will show up reminding you, hey, like that's not lethal. Don't take the shot.
That's cool. Yes, so every once in a while we need a red X to say, "Hey, I don't think you need to do that."
For
That's cool.
sure.
Like that's one of those little things that you take for granted, because with long range hunting and how it is now, man, that's kind of the flavor of the month. Not necessarily my flavor of the month, but I mean, know a lot of guys who they love it. They eat it up, and if you're doing it consistently and you have confidence in your equipment, more power to you. But man, something that'll call you off when it's like, that 6.5 Creedmoor, you probably don't want to be taking that 1100, 1200 yard shot with it.
Right, right. And you know what? I think quality optics have been around. Let me rephrase that. Consistent optics, the science behind shooting has been around for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I think we're living in a great time as a consumer that rifles are now consistent, ammo's better than it ever has been. So sure, there is the distance at which you can ethically take an animal is going further than it ever has
Yeah.
been. But I don't want to blame the optic if that makes sense. I
Right.
think that it's a culmination of all these different things. Guys are doing more competitions out west. There's more access to long range
Yeah.
shooting, and so when we build our scopes, we want people to push them out past 1,000 yards
Yeah.
because one, it's fun. Who doesn't like
Yeah.
to shoot a long, long ways? And then two, it's better practice so that when that reasonable shot comes up on an animal, you're more than prepared,
Yeah.
and you're not worried about, did I look at my dope card the right way? Did I read the wrong line? Did I dial? Did I do this? Did I do that? And at the end of the day, you should be worried about proper hold, your
Yeah.
breath, making sure that you're not taking a rushed shot. Like, we want to take that stuff out of it so you can focus on the important stuff.
Yeah. It's all the perfect storm. And speaking of perfect storm, I've got one on my desk that is pretty dang cool, and it's another one of those culminations of what if questions. We're going to talk about that one right after this.
The Ruger Precision Rimfire, or as the cool kids call it, the RPR. This beast has a heavy contour barrel, a Ruger Precision Rifle muzzle brake to tame recoil like a well-trained hunting dog, and an adjustable trigger that's smoother than your best pickup line at the bar. Need versatility? The multi-mag interface lets you run mags from AICS to Magpul style so you can stop hoarding magazines like a doomsday prepper. Plus, with a fully adjustable buttstock, this rifle fits you better than your favorite pair of hunting boots. Bottom line, if you want long-range accuracy, smooth operation, and durability built into one serious rifle, get yourself an RPR.
It's time to prepare for the shot of a lifetime. Whether you're a seasoned hunter or new to the sport, preparation is key. I preach it all the time. At Range Ready Studios, we offer the training you need to make that shot of a lifetime. Chris Serino is on staff, and he has a host of instructors on hand to provide personalized trainings in state-of-the-art facilities and practical exercises that build your confidence and skills. From precision marksmanship to quick target acquisition, we've got you covered. Don't leave your success to chance. Visit rangereadystudios.com to learn more. All right, we're back with Jordan Egli of Burris Optics, and we're talking. We were talking about perfect storm of optics and ammo and just overall gun design and cartridge design to create something that really truly is special in our time of hunting and optics and all that good stuff. And I haven't started messing with it yet, but we got it in. But I wanted to share a really quick story on one of the optics, and that is out now. The Fullfield is out now, correct?
It is. I actually have one on the desk here.
Okay. Is that the 3.3 to 18?
This is the 4 to 16.
Okay.
This is the 3 to 12. So this is going to be a 5X system.
Okay.
And so we go from a 2 to 8, 2.5 to 10, 3 to 12, 4 to 16, and then a 6 to 24.
Okay. I have to show this target because today, like as we're filming this, earlier today, Chris Serino and myself were out on the range and we were shooting the Fullfield on a 300 blackout. And 300 blackout, not the furthest reaching gun that you would have, but he was on a 3 to 12, and I have to show you this target because I was like, holy crap, this, like when we talk about the perfect storm and everything fitting right and everything marrying right, but all of this you are looking at this target through an optic. You are looking through this optic and connecting with that target. That's your last sight is through that optic and seeing where it impacts. And if you don't have turrets that dial correctly or are off, or your erector's off, whatever it might be, that's a problem. And this target tells a good story. I had it sitting up all nice and where I wouldn't have to go out of frame and I could just pick it up, but that wasn't the case. All right. So this is the target that I've got here. I'm going to try to get it right here. So these are the first 3 shots of this target. And I'm sorry if you're listening to this over the airways, I apologize. But essentially what we have is we have 3 touching far right. So Chris goes and he makes the needed adjustments for this 1/2 inch paster square that we have been shooting. We've been shooting smaller and smaller paster squares so we can have finer aiming details. And he put 5 of them within that little paster. One is just hanging off the edge, but that might be barrel heating up or something like that. But this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shot group right here. And it is awesome. and you don't get shots like this and accuracy like this with subpar glass or subpar tensions. So, dude, that was the Fullfield, and it was awesome. Like, it's a little light scope.
I gotta say, lights out to Chris. He's a good shot. And just curious, what rifle were you using? Because that's another part of it.
He was using a Ruger American ranch rifle in 300 blackout.
That's impressive. But you are right. At the end of the day, the last connection point besides your trigger is looking through that optic. And if you've never heard of the Fullfield before, it's been around for 50 years, and we just relaunched it this year, the 5th generation of it. It's been completely redesigned, so it's a more compact optical system. There's very, very crisp colors in it. Color fidelity was one of our main focusing points. No chromatic aberration or things like that. Superb light transmission, optical clarity, and then it's kind of hard. I'm pretty far away from the camera. But all of our Fullfield scopes now have the ability to put a dialing turret on top.
Yeah.
We call that our knob synergy system.
Okay, so the turrets on this Fullfield were red. Is that like an option? Because I kind of dig the red.
Well, how many times have you gone to the range and you took off your cap to dial in your scope, and then you walked off and you forgot your cap on the table?
More than I can.
Everybody does that. Now you kind of can't miss it. There's this big red dial sticking out, and it's kind of a reminder to say, "Hey, wait a second! Don't forget your cap."
Well, and for the marketing guys, it sells the optic a little bit better. But I will say you really can catch that turret a lot better because it's white on red. I like it. I think it was, what was it, last year or something, Jordan texted me and he says, "Hey, quick question. What looks better?" And I said, I voted on the red. I was like, man,
I actually voted on the black.
Why? Why would you vote on black? I like the red.
I think my eyes just liked the white, but you know what? The red grew on me. And shortly after I text you, I was sighting in 10 rifles at the range.
Oh gosh.
And I looked down, and in one of the scopes, I saw this bright red knob sticking up. I'm like, oh crap, I forgot the cap. So I went over and I found it, and I'm like, all right, it's red. It's got to be red.
That's great. Well, no one's doing it.
Yeah, the important part of that though is whether it's the red or the these aftermarket knobs. We put a dialing turret, which means it has to be repeatable. It has to come back to zero on a scope line that historically has never done that before, and it's accessible to everybody. They start at $150, a dialing scope for $150. Well, 159 map plus the $40 turret, but the mechanics on the inside, we said they have to be repeatable.
Yeah. Well, and we saw that. I saw that today with Chris. Is man, nothing worse than getting out there and you're like, it's shooting wild, and you make an adjustment, and then it's like, well, that didn't go the right way or the amount that it needed to, and so then you start second guessing yourself, and you lose confidence in your equipment. But I want to talk about, would you hunt with a PRS, more PRS dedicated, like a long range precision rifle scope? Would you hunt with that? That's an important question.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, you need to hunt what you're most confident in. We tend to put things in a bucket, right? From whether it be marketing or product development, or even as a consumer, like, oh, that's a hunting scope, that's a precision scope. At the end of the day, they help you connect with your target, and a precision scope just does it on a different level. Now, the one drawback I would say is, in general, they're going to be heavier. They're bigger. They're a little bit more bulky. But if you don't mind the weight and the scope that you're used to or you're proficient on as a precision optic, go for it. It's not going to hurt your ability to shoot. It might cause you to burn a little bit more calories, but at the end of the day, no. And quite honestly, a lot of the PRS scopes out there, especially this hot rod on your desk, that I think we might talk about in a second, they bring precision to a whole new level. Like you're
Yeah.
going to be crazy accurate with those kind of
Yeah.
optics.
Well, and the one that we've got on my desk is the XTRPS. What does that stand for?
Stands for precision shooter.
All right, the XTR Precision Shooter Rifle Scope. This one happens to be a 3.3 to 18. Um, it is heavier. But that, like you said, when you comes to precision rifle scopes, that's what you're going to expect because there's a lot more going on in them. When you talk about your turrets and your dial adjustments and all that good stuff. But where is this made? Where is
That
this built?
scope that scope is built in the Philippines. So we
Okay.
we engineer, we design all of our scopes in-house. We still build quite a few optics in
Yeah.
Greeley, Colorado, but we also work with manufacturing partners overseas, primarily in the Philippines. Our Fullfield, our Veracity PH, our XTRPS, and our Eliminator 6, those all are Filipino made.
Nice. All right. So when you're talking about a little extra, because the tradition, right there, I don't want to say tradition. What people are doing right now is they're going lightweight, 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 lightweight. I would like to make a case for a lightweight rifle, heavy optic. That's what I would prefer. That's what,
I
because it adds a little weight to your gun in the right spot. I think it levels it out nicely. You don't get too front end heavy. You don't get too back end heavy. It kind of centers it up nicely. But I feel like you get so much more out of a precision rifle scope. But back to your point is hunt with what you like, what you're comfortable with, because I'll be honest with you, it would be hard for me to pass up a Fullfield for a hunting scope because it's lightweight. It's going to be durable and it tracks true. I mean, it's hard to pass that up if you're going to get the same longevity out of it as you are a precision rifle scope. But I just like what this sucker does.
yeah,
I love what the XTR goes a little bit above. So if you're the guy who likes bells and whistles, I'm going to have Jordan tell you all the bells and whistles this sucker has because it has a heads up display, which if you ever shot a scope with a heads up display, it's like magic. It's like, why haven't we been doing this all my life?
Yeah, it's a game changer for sure. And like I said earlier, it's a good time to be a consumer. We offer a 13.5 ounce full field that'll get the job done,
Yeah.
or a heavier XTRPS that if you want to shoot the wings off a fly at 500 yards, this scope's going to do
Yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah.
So the technology of the scope, I wish I could just show you visually the internals of what it looks like because it really tells the story. The elevation turret, instead of just being an elevation turret with clickers and laser marks, you can actually program that turret to your specific cartridge. We call that our programmable elevation knob, or peak for short.
Mm-hmm.
And your dialed position is then translated to the heads-up display inside the scope as yards. And instead of having to pull out of the scope and reference a dope chart or reference markings on the turret, it's all inside the optic. And
Yeah. Well,
we've tested a lot this year. It's incredibly precise.
Well, and what's interesting is that you'll know is like you pick up one of those full fields and you get really good positive clicks. So like you feel that adjustment. With this knob on the XTRPS, there is no feel to it. It is as smooth as you can get it. I mean, you don't feel anything.
Yep,
So
it's clickless, and that was intentional. With a clickless knob, we were able to get 1/30th mil resolution. With
okay.
detents, we could only get down to 1/10. So in theory, this is 3 times more precise than a 1/10 detent clicker-based scope. And that translates into dialing to the yard instead of jumping around 10, 20, 30 yards at a time.
Right. That's pretty slick, man. I'll give it to you, man. This sucker is. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to shoot this. Like, I can't wait to take it out to distance and test it because truing it, you can true your rifle in this scope. I mean, you need long range, but you true it through an app, right?
Yeah. So
The
we
Burris Connect app.
We program all of our tech-enabled scopes with a Burris Connect mobile app. And matter of fact, it's free. You just need a ballistic solver today, and you don't want to go out and spend a bunch of money on one. Go check it out in the App Store on Apple or the Google Play Store on iOS. It's like I said, it's a free app. But if you have these tech-enabled products from Burris, you can program them using that app. And then, as Kevin alluded to, you can true it. So if you're shooting at 500 yards and you're consistently, 6 inches low or half a mil low, you can say, I want to true my curve. You say add truing point. You can select linear or angular. Linear meaning I'm X amount of inches low. Angular meaning I'm X amount of MOAs or mils from my point of impact. And you can build unlimited truing points across your ballistic curve, and it will fine tune your BC to exactly what it should be for your cartridge.
Now that's truing the BC. That's not adding or subtracting from velocity, because your velocity is what your velocity is.
Yeah, you can actually do both. If you don't have a chronograph, you can start with your velocity. But most people that are trying to get to that level of detail, they have a chronograph. And so I always say, eliminate the known variable. Like you can determine what your bullet velocity is. It's a lot harder to determine what your BC is.
Start with what's on the box. If you're shooting factory ammo, if you're out there loading your ammo and you're buying one of these scopes, odds are pretty dang good that you've got a little Garmin or your Caldwell, whatever you got. Man, there's just so much going on with this. I cannot wait.
You've got, like I said, you got the 1/30th mil, 19 mils of rotation in one turn, the heads-up display. It's got a bubble level, your dial distance in yard, a wind hold value, a wind reference value, a battery indicator.
Hold on a second.
A match timer.
That's the huge thing. Match timer? Are you kidding me? That's freaking awesome. But you talked about wind. I know we're going over time, and I know but there's so much going on with this. I should have jumped into this way early. That's my fault, folks. But you talk about wind. How do you pre-program the wind into your app? And then
you pre-program the wind into your app. It gives you a reference to what that pre-programmed value was, and then it gives you a holdover or hold off wind value in the heads-up display as well. I always go with a 10-mile-an-hour wind. It's quick math. If I'm going to be shooting ELR, way out there to distance, and I've got a weather station, I might fine-tune it a little bit and do actual wind.
Okay, that's awesome. But the match timer, like when I saw that, because you sent me the pre-video before I could say anything, and I was like, oh my gosh, it has a match timer in it. Because if you're sitting there and you're running an NRL match, you've got 4 minutes. So you go ahead and program 4 minutes. When they say go, you just hit the go button. And when you get down into your optics and you start your process, you've got a timer there, and you're no longer, as long as you've got on your arm board, as long as you have your distances, you don't write out the dope, because that's pre-programmed in here. You don't write out your dope. You're saving time. That's you coming off, you looking and going, okay, 2.3, then looking up to your optic. You're looking through your optic to get your yardages. So I think that's for me, when you talk about NRL hunter, for competition, this is going to be freaking cool.
It's important to note, I should have said this, if you don't want yards and you want mils, you can make it show mils.
Yeah, you can do mils. Because that way, if you go ahead and switch over mils, if you're running a 6.5 Creedmoor, you're going to already have a good idea of what your holdovers are going to be, or they're close. And what's cool, how many times have I've done this multiple times in a match. Usually only takes one time, and then I learn my lesson, but I at least do it in every match. I'll look and I'll go, okay, I go transition to my next target, and I forget to dial. And it's 100 yards off or something like that. And I'm going, well, now I see what the yardage marker is. I don't have to take my head off the scope to look. All you got to do is just, okay, yeah, that's obviously further away. So you just dial until you go, okay, that was this yardage.
Yep.
That's cool. That's cool, man. I think I'm going to try to run this in my June NRL match. I've got to get a gun built, though. I can always switch it out. I've got to get a gun built because I want to shoot an to shoot in the open light category, which I think I can. It's heavier, but my gun's gonna be lighter, so I probably need to go ahead and get on that. So, well,
Good
dude,
idea.
Okay. The last thing we'll touch on is, man, what if I drop it off the truck, or what if I damage it or whatever? Dude, on the belt of this scope that comes right out of the box, they tell you up front, and they don't care. They do not care what happens to this scope. You can send it in and it's a forever warranty. So no questions asked. None.
Yep. So a little known fact, there were two rifle scope companies in this industry that started the forever warranty, and it's not the one that you're thinking of. So we've been doing that for a very, very long time. And as Kevin said, you send it in, we'll replace it, and we'll get you back out in the field.
Dude, if it's got the name Burris on it, that's all that they care about. That's it.
For sure.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity and appreciate your time.
All right, we're going to have to take another 36-hour trip. I'll swing through Greeley up there and pick you up.
Just bring the babysitter on your way.
Done. All right, Jordan Egli of Burris. All right, all you gun talk hunters, you know the drill. Keep those muzzles pointed in a safe direction and always be on the hunt.